welcome to another episode of Inside the Creative Mind of Amazing Amanda Mulder. With me, Amazing Amanda Mulder. So, happy summer, everyone. School is officially out for me. I've had a couple weeks off, but I've been exploring and doing creative stuff. It has been a fantastic start so far. I can't wait to tell you about all my adventures. Hopefully I can cram it into 30 minutes or less. And there's been a lot going on and some really exciting things happening in the future. So yeah, it's going to be great. And right now it's June 30th. So yes, I waited a whole month because I was that busy to film this. But I'm happy to be back with a lot to talk about. And the good news is I will be filming tomorrow too. I am very excited to have my first guest, Carol Montgomery with Funny Women of a Certain Age. I'm going to have her as a guest on my YouTube and interview her about her life, her 47-year or so journey in comedy, and I'm excited to learn from her and see what she has to say. So that video is going to be filmed tomorrow. So I have a lot of filming. I'm catching up, which is exciting. And yeah, let me get into it. So I want to circle back to a performance I accidentally left out in May because May also had a lot going on and I was like crushed with finishing the school year. But I had a performance in May with Scotty G and friends who were very great guys. I hosted for their show, I think it was May 12th for the March of Dimes. And I tremendously appreciate these guys for giving me the opportunity to perform locally in Erie, and everyone's so nice and supportive and puts on a good show. I had one of my coworkers from work, Aaron, and Dan, and some people from the comedy scene, Dan and Kaylee, who came out to support me at the show, so thank you. And I had some thoughts because any show that you do as a comedian, you learn things. Room 33 was where we had the show, and it's a very beautiful venue, like a speakeasy vibe, and it's so fun there. But yeah, every show teaches me something valuable, and this one, of course, did also. So I don't really want to get into details, but just to give you a general idea, there was a situation at the show. It was after I hosted, but there was someone that got injured because of issues with stage accessibility. There were stairs, there weren't any ramps, and it's just it's a beautiful restaurant, but a very dark place. So I think it was very challenging to take a person to navigate that environment if you had mobility issues. But anyway, in general, it made me think more about the topic of accessibility for different venues, and as a comedian, like where you're performing, thinking about accessibility. Is the venue accessible for the people in your group? Is it accessible for your audience? You have to think about, like, can this venue accommodate everyone's needs? And this is an important topic because I feel like if you don't have mobility issues, if you're not in a wheelchair, that's kind of like we talk about in our society about like privilege. Like you have a privilege, like you're able to navigate around and be mobile. But if you're someone that has mobility issues and you can't do that, having your show at a venue where you can access it, it's, keeping the experience from that person. So, I mean, I say all this because I still remember in my one class about physical disabilities, we had an exercise where we went around the college campus with a friend from class. And we had to kind of simulate having a disability. So it could have been something like you couldn't see, like you wore, mask or something that was limiting your vision. Or my partner and I, we borrowed one of the wheelchairs and we went around our college campus to see if the campus was accessible. And we had to do this for like most of the day or like half a day. And as our college campus was not accessible, there were hills, there were bathrooms that didn't accommodate wheelchairs, and it was an eye-opening experience about accessibility, and kind of forgot the lesson until we had this situation at room 33, and everyone handled it well. The restaurant handled it well. The people I act with handled things well. But it's just like in the planning stages of thinking about shows, just making sure a place meets all the needs of the people, the performers, the customers, the audience. I think it's just so important. I mean, technically it is 2026, so I feel like venues also should think about accessibility. Maybe something, it might take time, it might be an extra cost to build a ramp onto a stage, but thinking about universal design, which means looking at the environment, thinking about ways to design it so it's more accessible to everyone. Something simple like, I say simple, but I'm not the one building it, but getting someone to build a ramp could be awesome for all artists, because if you have maybe comedians or even band members who have to carry a lot of equipment, having a ramp, maybe people can wheel their stuff up versus climb upstairs, trip, do other things. So, just if you're a comedian, think about where you're performing, or where you're having your group perform. If you're someone that has a restaurant, think about accessibility and ways to make everyone more comfortable and, maybe make it more safe and obtainable for everyone to perform there or view the show. So yeah, but like I said, eye-opening experience. I think we all need those once in a while. June 12th, I was able to wrap up this year, wrap up for the school year, which was phenomenal. There's just nothing like that feeling of ending the school year. And I decided to take a trip to New York City to do a few things. I am Amazing Amanda Mulder, and I also teach a Zumba class. I've been a Zumba instructor for like 10 years. And Linda has attended my class online since the pandemic, when Zumba started allowing us to teach online or lead classes online. So Linda and I have known each other online for a while, and I met her once when I was in New York for work. But I always said, I got to come back. I got to do things in the city. So it was phenomenal to hang out with Linda in person. Thank you, Linda, and your family for hosting me. We did a few things that were really cool. We saw the show Every Brilliant Thing. It's a one-person show where the narrator looks at life and creates a list of glimmers of hope that they carry with them in a lot of dark times. Mariska Hargitay was the actress. It's, like I said, a one-woman show, so she pulls people from the audience she pulled people from the audience to talk about different things or become different characters. So it was a scripted show with improvisational elements, which was really cool, and she did a phenomenal job. So I loved having that experience, and it was a really relatable show because of, it talked about some themes around mental illness, and that's really fascinating to me. One of the main things we did was we attended Masquerade, which is the interactive Phantom of the Opera, which I love Phantom of the Opera. It's actually my family musical. My parents took me to the Pantages Theater in Toronto to see Phantom of the Opera when I was in 6th grade. It was a really big deal, a very fun family trip. We went to see Phantom of the Opera in Pittsburgh. So yeah, it's like my childhood nostalgia musical. So I was very excited about seeing it in this form. And it's a retelling of Phantom of the Opera, walking through different rooms. The characters interact with you. You experience the scenes from the story with special effects, props, dialogue. You must wear a mask. It makes sense why when you're in the show, when you're viewing the show in part. You actually feel like you're a character in the show. And you understand as you go through. And it's a 2-hour show, walking through, and I don't know, just like just the coolest experience. And it's a show that if you love family opera, yeah, you're singing along and you're doing a lot. If Linda didn't know Phantom of the Opera, so she still enjoyed it because it was just an engaging way to tell the story. So I learned a lot from seeing that kind of stuff, working with props, telling a story, making something really engaging. And then we also saw the musical Heathers. Lisa Ann Walter was playing Ms. Fleming and one of the characters' parents in that. And I really like Lisa. She's my favorite teacher on Abbott Elementary, which is a show I started watching to observe the comedy. She's Miss Chimenti on that, and I just love her. And I love Lisa Ann Walter comedy vibes. She had a song in the musical. She rocked it. She had an improv riff comedy bit within the song. I just loved what she did with the character and inspired me, like with the physical movement and being able to come up. She comes up with all these different poems for that part of the play that she does. And I would have probably loved anything she said because she's really funny. But that night, that Friday night when we saw her show, she did a riff about like breaking up with a jester at a Ren fair, and it's like a rhyming part of the song. And she comes up every time she performed it, she came up with a different persona for the guy she broke up with, which I thought was cool. But like for her to pick breaking up with a jester at a Ren fair, I mean, how relatable, Lisa. I felt like you were definitely performing for me, even though it's just a happy coincidence. But I love those vibes. I love the Ren fair vibes. And I just learn a lot from seeing like different types of theater and comedy and all that. I did an open mic in New York City at Brunswick Comedy Club. It was awesome. Positive artistic vibes. Got some good practice there for the routine I was working on for the Hill People Comedy Fest. We other highlights from the trip included taking the ferry to Staten Island and back, seeing cute animals at the Central Park Zoo. So yeah, thank you, Linda. I can't thank you enough. Your family for hosting me. That makes the trip more doable for me. And also, I didn't get to meet up with my friend Mark, but he lives in New York City and got me free zoo tickets because he works there. So I do want to come back and do some more New York City stuff in the future. I learned a lot about traveling there from where I am geographically. And I love comedy. I love the comedy scene there. It was inspirational to me. Everyone at that open mic was so good, and the topics and the things that people talk about were just like really brilliant. So my goal is to go back sometime. New York City, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. So, okay. So I did a comedy class, the Stamford stand-up comedy class with our instructor, Mia Jackson. And that class started in May. I think it was the second weekend of May. And we met for 5 weeks online and developed a new comedy routine to perform at the Hill People Comedy Festival, locals only night, which I'm not local, but I feel like I am, because I really got to know everyone so well at this festival. A lot of the students in my class were the same as last year, and we bonded a lot. I was working on some material, and then I went a different direction because some recent annoying experiences happened to me, but it was actually therapeutic to talk to Mia and make a set based on these experiences, and we found a way to connect it to my teacher persona, and it just was like a really brilliant artistic process to like do comedy, to kind of heal from something, take my power back, but also like create art, relatable art for people. I learned I was in the class last year. I know you remember me talking about it if you've been following all these videos. Even the second year, I learned so much from this class. I got to meet with Mia a lot. I learned how to use my phone to transcribe, to record when I'm doing comedy and transcribe it to figure out the flow of material, the timing. And I also learned from some of the videos and resources that Mia sent about why people move the mic stand. And that's something I'll talk about and think about more mindfully in the future. So it was just a great experience. The festival, the Hill People Comedy Festival is a very delightful festival in the Catskill Mountains, Stamford, New York. It reminds me a lot of Pensick, which if you're some of my SCA friends watching this, you know what Pensick is. If you're not, Pensick is like a big Society for Creative Anachronism event that I do in August, and people are teaching, camping. It's very immersive. Well, this comedy festival reminds me a lot of Pensick because we perform in a tent. There's a bonfire, there's camaraderie. Everyone's so nice and supportive, and we're learning comedy. So it just has very friendly vibes. Even when I was watching a show, there'd be people sitting next to me in the audience, and they would just start talking to me. So just a very warm, open, social environment. I learned a lot about delivering comedy, and I've been thinking about comedy is so relatable to like telling a story, and thinking about pausing after punchlines to give the audience time to kind of let everything sink in. And I've really started to think about not only rehearsing material, but thinking about pausing more after punchlines, making the comedy feel more like a conversation, more like a natural storytelling, like calling someone on the phone and telling them a funny story. So I practiced that a lot and nailed it at the festival, which was great. I'm still going to keep practicing, obviously, but I'm very proud of my progress. Everyone was everyone's so nice at this festival. We hung out together, we got coffee, we talked a lot. I talked a lot about the different things. I listened to people talk to me about their arts. Yeah. And like we got coffee together. Mia was there all weekend. We got to talk to her about comedy. She's an amazing comedian, a professional in the field, and we all learned a lot from her. So Mia sent this video about moving the mic stand, and I never really thought about the mic stand as why you would move it. But I learned in the video, if you move the mic stand, like if you take the mic in your hand and you move this, a lot of comedians move it to the back if they're not using it for a reason. And I learned that a lot of comedians do that to remove the mic stand as a barrier. And it also gives you freedom of movement across the stage. You don't have to worry about knocking it over. You'll have a more unobstructed view of the audience. And then you move it back at the end so like the host doesn't have to worry about it. So that's something I want to be mindful of in the future. My one routine, I would need to use the mic stand in the middle because I'm dealing with like props and stuff. But like this routine, I didn't have props. So I was able to practice like moving the mic stand back and moving it forward. So, but yeah, like I said, I appreciate like all the things that I learned from this class, and in a very nice, supportive environment. Something I want to say about the festival, it's not just a comedy festival. There was a day of like improv, alternative humor, long form improv, skits and stuff. It just is a very well run festival. Marissa runs it, and Mary, they're both amazing women, run by women, and I just really appreciate that place. One of my classmates found me a really nice woman to stay with, so probably isn't watching this, but thanks, Jess, for letting me stay in your house. It just is a great place with lots of nice people, good vibes, so I love that. So coming up next, like I said, tomorrow I'm gonna film from my house and talk to Carol Montgomery from Funny Women of a Certain Age. We met at Keller's last November, and we've wanted to reconnect since then. So tomorrow, July 1st, is the day for that. So I can't wait to learn about her journey as a phenomenal performer in comedy. And I love the things that Funny Women of a Certain Age is doing, like destigmatizing women getting older, and the experiences that we have. Well, I guess I don't qualify yet. I'm not over 50, but I'm 9 years away, so I'm doing my research. Show-wise, I have a couple shows in August. After I have Pensick coming up the last week of July, first week of August, and I am one of the technical managers, stage managers there. I'm working on some little projects of storytelling. Like I have a book called Comedic Medieval Tales. So I'm reading through there and thinking about like how could I rewrite these tales to like a modern audience, or like more of a comedy vibe. So I'm going to see how many of those I get to do, how much of the book I get to read, and hopefully get to work on some funny stories for like bardic stuff at Pensick. I have a couple shows. I have a show it's called Fest Stop. We perform at a random gas station. It's like a pop-up comedy show. It's really fun. It just gets people together doing their comedy, which I love. And people are walking around just like, oh, wow, okay. You get random audiences, which is really fun. And it's a really good show. And I'll be at a show in Erie, Phillies. It's at Phillies. It's a bar, but they have comedy shows there. So I'll be there August 21st, which I'm looking forward to. I also plan this month to get 2 open mics I don't normally get to do in town, out of town, because I am still off for summer. So I'm able to, well, I've been busy, but I'm not working. So I don't have to like wake up as early or go through like the daily grind that I normally have to go through, so I can, have a more leisurely travel and do some things out of town. So, um, but I love it. I learned so much from I do support the local comedy, but I also learned so much from traveling out of town. So it's important for me to get all those experiences while I can this month. So okay. I think that wraps up everything at 25 minutes. But like I said, join me tomorrow. I can't post live on YouTube yet, but check out my videos for July. Check out my video with Carol Montgomery, and I will be back to tell you more about my creative process and what I'm doing. Bye.